Hello everyone, my name is Sachin Verghese and I'm an engineer with Ansys Inc. I've been with Ansys for about 18 years now and my focus has been mainly with the mechanical product. I'm based out of Austin, Texas, and today I will be sharing some tips and tricks with you. So to start off, let me go through the agenda for today. So my primary goal for today is to demo and really highlight some tips and tricks that I've kind of used over the years working with mechanical. So I don't have too many slides today, but rather I will be demoing these tips directly within the product itself. And to do that, I'll use Mechanical 2024 R1 release, which is the latest release for Ansys Mechanical. Before I jump into the demo, I do want to point out that in release 2024 R1, we do have some new themes for you to use. If you've installed 2024 R1 and started the mechanical product, we do allow you to select the theme before entering the product. Now you do have access to the Mechanical Classic theme, but in addition to that, you also have access to the Ansys Dark and the Ansys Light theme. And our motivation here is to provide a rich and consistent user experience across all our products. So not just mechanical, if you use AEDT or if you use Fluent, you will have access to these themes as well. Okay, so to start the demo, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up mechanical from the start menu. And as you can see, there are two options to bring up mechanical. Either with Workbench, which has always been the case for several years now, but what you'll also see is there's a new option to bring up mechanical in a standalone mode. So I'm going to click that button and you'll see that a new startup pane appears for mechanical. Now this startup pane allows you to open a project, import a geometry, or start a new mechanical project itself. I'm going to start a project that I've already had on disk. And to do that, I'm going to click on my recent project. As mechanical starts up, I do want to say that the real motivation for us to open mechanical in standalone mode was primarily for our scripting users. So if you're scripting mechanical directly or with PyMechanical, allowing mechanical to be open in a standalone mode makes the process much simpler. Now, once you come into mechanical, you're presented with mechanical as you were done previously. There's not much difference in running between mechanical in standalone mode or via Workbench. Now we have added some key additions to mechanical so you can operate with it seamlessly in standalone mode as well. Say for example, you want to import a geometry. There is a new geometry import group that allows you to add a new geometry or replace it directly from within mechanical. We've also added some enhancements to imported loads. So for example, let's look at how you would bring external data into mechanical. To do this, I'm going to actually point you to my first tip, which is the quick launch toolbar, which is available on the top right side of the mechanical UI. So to find external data, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start typing the string into the search. And as you can see, as I start to type, mechanical starts to point out all the features that match that string. It looks in the ribbon, it looks in the context tab, the pane toolbar, as well as the preferences. So in this case, I'm going to start typing external. And you can see that mechanical shows you all the options with external. Now, specifically on the environment, again, let me type external data. And you'll see that mechanical points you to the feature which shows that there is a new feature called external data in the environment tab. Now I have two options. I could either run the feature from here, or I can choose the Take Me There option. By clicking Take Me There, mechanical takes you to the location where that feature is located. As you can see, there is a new feature called external data that allows you to bring in external files and import them as loads into mechanical. Okay, so moving on. The next feature I want to talk to you about is a geometry-based associativity feature, which was released in the last year. Now, to be able to demo this feature, the first thing I'm going to do is actually replace my geometry inside mechanical. So I'm going to replace the simple geometry with a version 2 file, but the catch is that it's a different CAD type. So I'm going to select a space claim document in this case. And as you know, when you change CAD types in mechanical, you end up losing your scoping in some of the cases. This can also happen in your CAD geometry if you go do an operation and you come back into mechanical, and if the CAD application cannot maintain those references. And what happens in mechanical is you're presented with some question marks indicating that you need to take action. So for example, if I click on the contact region, what you'll see is we've actually lost the scoping for these objects. And there are several objects in the tree right here. Now in previous releases, you had to go fix this one by one. But what you'll notice in 2023 R2 and 2024 R1 is the new scoping wizard worksheet that shows up on the right side. So I'm going to click on the model cell. And what you'll see is the scoping wizard now actually shows you all the objects that have actually lost scoping. But the nice thing now is it also tells you that it was able to find similar scoping to what was previously lost. So for example, contact region contact, it tells me that it lost 2 faces, but the green icon at the end indicates that mechanical was able to find suitable references to be able to replace that. So as you can see, mechanical actually does a great job in being able to find references that it's lost. The way it does that is before the geometry update, it stores some geometric information and the tessellation of the geometry. And after the geometry import, it tries to match these new geometries into the new geometry. So as you can see, most of the model is in the green check mark. And all I need to do in this case is hit the Fix All Scoping button. So I'm going to hit that. And as you can see that mechanical has fixed most of the scoping, and there's very little we need to do. Now, there is one geometry that it really couldn't find a suitable scoping for. So let's zoom into that geometry in the graphics view. As you can see, mechanical actually shows that geometry in a red highlighting, indicating that it was not able to find a suitable face for that particular scoping. But the nice thing is that I can see the tessellation of the old geometry scoping, which allows me to manually fix this. As you can see, the new geometry is slightly different from the old scoping, and that's why mechanical couldn't automatically reapply the scoping. So to be able to fix this, I'm going to double click on the contact region object, and then I'm going to select the face in the UI, face scoping in the UI, and I'll select the face. But to be able to select that interior face, what I'm going to do is use the selection stack at the bottom of the screen. Now I can use the selection stack to go through the different scoping in that plane. And in this case, once I've selected the scoping, I can use the mini toolbar buttons right here to be able to apply that to my target face. So now by hitting target, I've actually added that face to my target scoping as well. Once I've done with that, I can go clear the selection. So mechanical clears that it lost the scoping. And so as you can see, very easily, I was able to go in and fix all the scopings in my geometry. Now, if you had a large number of objects in previous releases, this process could be pretty tedious, but with the new geometry-based associativity feature, hopefully this makes it much simpler for all users. The next area I'm going to talk to you about is customization. And I like to customize my UI in the sense that I like to reduce the clutter that's there in the UI if I don't really use it. So for example, if I wanted to change the mechanical graphics toolbar to only show the features I really wanted to use, an easy option for me to go into is the add remove buttons for that toolbar, and I can go and remove items that I don't want. So for example, if I didn't use the imported data highlighting option, I can uncheck that, and as you can see, that option is removed from the UI. Instead, if I use the invert option all the time, I can check that, and that option appears in the UI as well. Now, in addition to the toolbar, mechanical also allows you to customize the ribbon. So by clicking on the customize the ribbon option, you'll see that mechanical provides several options for you to customize the ribbon. So you can show and hide tabs. So for example, if you want to hide the learning and support tab, you can check that off. And as you can see, that tab has been hidden away. Similarly, Mechanical also allows you to add new tabs if you want to. You can create your own tab and add features in there that'll help you be more productive. Another nice feature I like to use is the addition of the user buttons. So you can add your own user button to the mechanical interface by clicking on the Automation tab and going to the User Buttons group. Now, as you can see, I've added 3 of my own buttons in this case. The first button just simply goes and changes some contact settings. The second one verifies the model settings. So for example, if you write to run some model checks prior to you submitting your job, you can script those checks and add that into a button. And finally, I have one that creates results for every step. So let's see how you can quickly add one. The way to add a user button is to click on the Manage option. Here, Mechanical gives you a template where you can enter a button name, a description if you want to, and also the script to execute when you press that button. Let's take a look at the Create Results per Step button that I've created. I'm going to select that button to edit. And as you can see, it shows me the button name that I entered, the description, as well as the script that gets run. Now, this script, it goes and creates some tags, which I'll talk to you about in a little while. And also it creates results for every step of your analysis. If you're interested in the script, this script is available on our documentation under scripting examples. Okay, so once you've saved the button, let's see how it works. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the Create Results per Step button. And as you can see, Mechanical quickly runs through and generates results per step. Now, if I have to do this with clicks in the UI, this would have taken me significant time to do, but just by taking it all and putting it as a button, I've really started to be much more productive as I use Mechanical. The next area I want to point to you to is grouping. Now, as with grouping files in your operating system, Mechanical allows you to group objects in its tree as well. So you can directly select objects, right-click, and choose the group option, which will create a group for you. And similarly, you can ungroup those objects as well as you please. What I really like to do is allow Mechanical to do the grouping by itself. So on a lot of objects in Mechanical, for example, the solution object, if you right-click, you will find the Group All Similar Objects option. And if you click that, Mechanical automatically groups those objects for you by type. So for in this case, it's grouped all the object by the result type. Similarly, I can go and group all similar children at the environment level to group it by the boundary condition type. And this is also available at the mesh level. So I can say group all similar children and it groups by the meshing controls. So this can be a powerful tool for you to really make using large models much more easier. What I also like doing with my models is to tag objects. And the way I tag objects is by selecting the tags feature in the UI. Now I know that the tags feature exists in the Home tab, but I do want to again point you to the Quick Launch toolbar to select an option if you don't know where it is. So in this case, I'm going to select tags. And as you can see, there are several tags that I already created in the product. So for example, if I click on a result, this result tells me that it's applied to 2 tags, the all bodies and the use sum. Now, tags allow you to quickly work with a product as well. So for example, if you have several objects that have the same tag, you can click on a tag and say find items with selected tag, and Mechanical quickly selects those items. It's very easy for you to add a tag as well. You just go to an object in the tree. In this case, I'm going to select the fixed support. Go to the Add Tag button in the Tag toolbar and give a name for that tag. So in this case, I'm going to call it support, and I say OK. Now, the nice thing about tags is also you can filter the tree using tags. So to access tool filtering, which is just below the outline pane, you can go into the tool filter, the tree filtering, and select the tag as the type that you want to filter. And you can enter your tag name in the outline and hit enter. And as you can see, Mechanical filters the tree to only show the particular object with those tags. So using tags and tree filtering can be a very powerful option inside Mechanical as well, to kind of narrow your focus to a few objects. Tree filtering has several options, such as filtering by name, by state, by scoping. But I also want to point you to two new methods, which is property name and property value. Property name allows you to filter objects in the tree that have a particular property associated with it. And similarly, property value does the same, but in this case, it looks for a property value when it filters the tree. So in this case, let's go try the property value case. Let's say you have a name selection called loading, and you want to see all the objects that actually use that name selection. There really isn't an easy way to do this Mechanical other than going one by one and selecting the objects and checking if they actually have that name selection associated with it. But with the new tree filtering option, you can go and select property value, and similarly go and type in loading, and you can see that these objects are now filtered in the tree and ready for you to use. Okay. So with that, I'm going to move on some tips for dissolution and post-processing. And to do that, I'm going to clear my tree filter to show all objects. And I'm actually also going to generate a mesh. The first feature I actually want to point you to is a feature we've been working on for the past few releases, which is resource prediction. And to access the resource prediction option, just go to the Home tab and click on the resource prediction button. And as you can see, the resource prediction option actually helps you predict resources without solving the model. And this can be very useful if you are solving a model to, say, a cluster or to the cloud, and you don't know what kind of resources you need. So to access resource prediction, go and click on the button, and Mechanical allows you to predict the resources for the different environments in the tree. In this case, I have only one environment, which is static structural analysis, and I'm going to hit predict. And as you can see, Mechanical gives you different parameters like the time it would take per step, the memory, and the disk space option as well. In addition, it'll also give you a chart which shows you how these parameters vary with the number of cores in your model, and also provides this information for the different solver types, so you can choose which one would be best suited for you. The next option I'd like to talk to you about are the solution history and the solution statistics options. To do this, I'm going to kick off a very quick solve to be able to access that data. To be able to access the solution statistics option, I'm going to go to the solution information object, click on it, and under the solution output property, I'm going to select solution statistics. The solution statistics page actually provides a nice performance summary of your solution. So it gives you information like the time to solve, the RAM used, the IO written in red. It also gives you some really nice information like the element load balance ratio for a DMP solve, or the time it took to combine distributor files. In addition, if your simulation is IO bound or CO bound, it also tries to point you in the direction and helps you improve the performance of those models. Just like the solution statistics page, the solution history page is also particularly useful. What the solution history page does is it tracks the information over the last 20 solves and presents it to you, so you can look through the history to glean some information. So in this case, as you can see, Mechanical has stored the last 9 solutions, and I can see how, for example, the solution time was affected by the number of nodes or the number of cores and so forth. What Mechanical also does, it tracks the results over the last 20 solves. So in this case, I can choose to plot the maximum total deformation against the number of elements and look how that's changed, or plot the maximum deformation with the stress and see how those look as well. So finally, I'd like to point you to some post-processing tips that I typically use. And the first one is to look at the results, but not be confined to the Mechanical space. What I like to do is I like to use the full screen mode, which is at the top in the Home tab, or sometimes we call presentation mode as well. To access this, you can press the button full screen, or what I typically like to do is hit the hotkey F11. So in this case, I'm going to hit F11, and as you can see, mechanical moves into presentation mode, which gives me more space to look at results. I can also move things around quickly, like I can close my details pane and move my tree to the right. Another new feature we introduced is the capability to be able to show your graph in the graphics view as well. To do this, I'm going to hit the G button on my keyboard. And as you can see, the graph shows up in your graphics pane as well. Now, as you click through objects in the tree, you have a lot more space to review your results, especially if you're reviewing it with somebody else. You can also go and animate your results right in this view by hitting the P key. Okay, so with that, I'm going to move on to my last tip. And I want to point you to the key assignments page in the mechanical UI. Now, I did talk about a lot of features and I talked about a lot of hotkeys, and I don't expect you to remember that. But I do want you to review the key assignments page, which is available in mechanical. And what the key assignment page does is it lists all the hotkeys in mechanical and gives you a quick snapshot of all the hotkeys and how you can use them. In addition to that, it also allows you to delete these hotkeys if needed and also customize them if you so desire. So you can take any action within mechanical and assign a key assignment to it so that it makes you much more productive as you use the product. So hopefully you enjoyed the demo and you were able to gather some tips on using mechanical that'll hopefully make you more productive for your journey with mechanical. Thank you.